Well, good evening, everybody, and welcome to On Air, the podcast, live right here, of course, on Facebook. And we are now streaming on YouTube tonight. Special show we have for you tonight. Assault. Yes, life after assault. We are going to be talking about a pretty touchy subject tonight with one of my best friends in the world, Miss Laurie Lace. Life after assault. Miss Laurie Lace, how are you?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I am doing wonderful. What a touchy subject we're going to have tonight. I'm sure glad, and I'm very happy that you're going to come here and share this story with me. It's
Sure.
a big thing for me, and as we all know, I'm a big supporter of, an advocate of course, women's rights. And I heard the story once already, and it's shocking to me. So, but we're not going to talk about that right now. You have a brand new single coming out.
I do.
you know Bad thing, it just came out, plus you have a brand new one coming out. Let's talk about the brand new one coming out.
I do. It's called A Sure Thing. It was written by Todd Walls. He lives in Colorado Springs, Colorado. As a matter of fact, he reached out to me and asked if I'd heard the song yet. And of course, I said, no, don't even know what you're talking about. And he said, I sent it to Nashville and was told, that they were going to pitch it to you. And I said, well, you know what, just send it to me. Send it directly to me. So he did. And it's a great song. It's a lot of fun to do. It fits the times, so. And
I've heard it. Yeah, very
it
good
does.
song.
It fits the times. It's about a woman who has spent pretty much all of her life trying to find the right guy. And the reality is there is no right guy. There is no right girl. It's just two people that decide to put up with each other's imperfections.
There you go.
That was a nice way of putting it.
That's a nice way to put it, Laurie. It really is.
I know.
Like your career's kind of exploded here in the last little while with the new release of Bad Thing. Of course, just pushing that song, and I got to tell you, it's climbing the charts. How does that make you feel? Like when you been in this business so long, and it's like come out after 2020 and all the crap that happened there with the very first re-release, and boom, it's taken off. Like, how does that make you feel?
Well, I'd lie if I said it didn't make me feel good. It makes me feel good. It does. There's a lot of pressure that comes with it, though. Because you have a really good song that's doing well, and then you gotta top it, and then you gotta top that one, and then top that one. But I've got to meet a lot of really cool people and do a lot of really neat things, and if that's as far as it ever goes, I have no complaints. I really don't. I've got
you've got some stuff happening. So like I don't get if it doesn't happen. Part of the
nothing's promised.
Part of the Keith Whitley Corporation tour coming up. You're a big part of that. How does that feel? Like you're going down in history of bringing a legacy to life. Like, how does that make you feel?
Well, growing up, Keith Whitley was huge. I loved all of his music. I truly did. And, it's easy to go on air and go, oh, I loved them. But I really, truly did. I have a lot of his music on my phone. I listen to it. It's an honor, I should say. It's a great honor, and I hope to be as much a part of it as I'm allowed to be. I'm preparing just in case. I'm trying to learn a bunch of Lori Morgan songs. Hint, hint.
Yeah, you are doing that. Stephen Kay, part of that too, was on our show last week.
Yep.
Great entertainer. He's just cutting four singles of Keith Whitley for, of course, the Keith Whitley Corporation. Everybody, if you're listening, great people down there at the Keith Whitley Corporation supporting kids and, of course, music. So get over there and donate for sure. So
it all goes to the kids. It truly does.
And it goes to
for their
music.
music
college
colleges.
music. Yeah, it is pretty. It's pretty cool. All them Flo Whitley, a big part of this whole thing. Quite an honor for us here at the Pierce Media Network to be a part of it. Of course, spearheading the tours and stuff for them.
It literally kind of took Nashville by storm.
Yeah,
it's literally like they woke up one morning and we're like, "What's going on?"
Yeah. let me introduce you to Don Pierce.
Yes,
Yeah, yes,
here is
it was
Dawn.
kind of a yeah. Here is Don. I could have my own show like that. Oh, wait a minute, I do.
Hang on.
Um,
Are
s-
you going to give your nickname?
no, we won't. But
Well,
anyway,
can
yeah,
I?
well, sure, why
The
not?
great Don Pierce.
Yeah, that's you.
That's what I call you because the funny story because I was talking to a DJ in the UK and she I mentioned your name and she was like, "Oh yes, we all know who Don is." You know, he thinks he's
Oh,
God
I am God. No,
of the
no.
radio world, the great Don Pierce. You know, that's not even totally a an English accent. So I don't know why I
Yeah, that well,
went that
yeah,
direction.
yeah.
But
You know what?
and we
We're heard in
laughed.
we're heard
You
in
know,
about 7 different countries, so it's
she didn't say anything ugly about you at all. Just that everybody talks about you. So
well,
that's
you
a
know
good
what
thing.
it is. When you're making headway, people talk. It doesn't really bother me when people do that. But let's talk about this new song. Let's get it out there. How about you sing this? A
All
sure
right, let's give
thing.
it a whirl. Let's give
Let's
it a
give it a
whirl.
girl. Why not, ladies and
Why not?
gentlemen?
This is
That's Laurie
crash or
Lace.
burn. Let's go.
Sure thing. I should just put on the wrong song for it.
That would be horrible.
Here you go, ladies and gentlemen. This is Laurie Lace right here in a sure thing.
I was in high school, I was gonna get married to the perfect guy. When he became homecoming king, he told me goodbye. That's the story of my life, 'cause I didn't become the queen. Just because you got a ring don't make it a sure thing. Yeah, I'm a lonely girl in the middle of a dry spell. Every boy come knocking gonna put me through hell. Mama always said don't ever say never. Every boy says he'll love you forever. Because you got a ring don't make it a sure thing. I was on the treadmill dripping wet. He was lifting weights. He took my heart and we went on a whole lot of dates. Then he became a girl. Well, that changed everything. Just because you got a ring don't make it a sure thing. Yeah, I'm a lonely girl in the middle of a dry spell. Every boy come knocking gonna put me through hell. Mama always said don't ever say never. Every boy says he'll love you forever. Because you got a ring don't make it a sure thing. Well, he already had 2 kids, but there wasn't enough. He wanted one more, so we got hitched on a trip to Vegas. But just like that, he changed his mind. We were just a fling. Just because you got a ring don't make it a sure thing. Yeah, I'm a lonely girl in the middle of a dry spell. Every boy come knocking gonna put me through hell. Mama always said don't ever say never. Every boy says he'll love you forever. Because you got a ring don't make it a sure thing. Yeah, don't make it a sure thing. Yeah. What a fun song.
Perfect song, man. That you look like you had a lot of fun doing that.
It is. It's a lot. That is a lot of fun. I really, really enjoyed it, and I thank Todd Walls for sending
Yeah,
it to
he
me.
is here with us, Mr. Todd Walls. So, hi, Todd. Great song. You did a
Oh,
great job, man.
hi, Todd.
So, yeah, it is. It is a fantastic song. When I first heard that song, it says you all over it. It really does.
Well, it's a song that needed a more mature voice, and that's, I guess, a nice way of putting it. When you're really young, you can't talk about all these different, because you haven't had those experiences. You haven't went to Vegas and got married, and then that didn't work out. So now we're going to get a divorce. So I mean, that's the reality. That
It's
is
life.
her
It is.
reality. You
And it's,
know,
it is part of everyday life today. It seems to be anyway.
it is.
What's a
And
great song, Todd? I got to tell you, man, it's making some headways and going to make some headways, of course, through the airwaves here at CAT. I can't wait to get it out there. We kind of given a little teaser tonight, but I am dying. You know me. You're lucky it's not all over. It's
I
already.
am really excited to get the video going on it. I am. I have a gym where I live. I've already spoken to them, and they're like, "Oh yeah, you could totally just come in after hours when nobody's here." And I'm looking around and I'm thinking, because I'm thinking I need a lot of people to knock on the door. A guy, and I'm like, he could go, he can go, he can go. So I don't know. How do
So
you
there you
walk
go,
up to
guys.
somebody?
If you're in, of course, Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, and you want to get into a video, if you got the muscles and the apps, yeah, there you go. Laurie's looking for you.
How do you walk up to a guy though and go, "Do you want to be in a video?"
Well, just
You
like
know,
that. Do you want to be in a video, or you get the great Don Pierce to come out here and say, "Hey, does anybody want to be in a video? We got some
who wants to
muscles.
be in a video?
Got
Yes,
you got the abs. Let's do her." Well,
yes.
yeah, I'm heading. I'll be in South Carolina, folks. I have neither, but I'm going.
Hey,
There
I
you
would
go.
totally put you in there.
There. Well, I
Totally.
hope so.
It takes a
So
long time to find the right person.
yeah, you know what? It does, and it's a great song. But you've got four bang, bang, bang right in a row coming out. Just
I
you
do.
spent some time in the studio at Clarksville Creative Sound, and of course, Kurt Ryle, your producer, did a fine job putting this all together for you. Got to say big hey to Kurt because we do. And
Hi.
hey,
Hi,
Kurt,
Kurt. I
glad
don't even
glad
know if he's listening.
I don't know, but he will be, because you're one of his, and that's his songs coming out that he produced and did a fine job
Yep.
doing it. I got to
Yep.
tell you that he did a great job.
So far,
Got
he
it.
has produced all my songs. Yes.
Oh well, there you go. So there's a connection there.
Yeah.
A slight connection with you two. Um, like there's been a lot of stuff happening in your life. Son away all the time. Let's talk about Brock a little bit, if that's all right.
I don't even know if he's watching.
You
So
know what? But
he might
very
be.
very proud of him.
Brock is everything to me. I don't know if he knows that, but he
Well,
is.
he does now.
He's my. I call him my conscience. Even when he was little, if I was if I said a bad word, even something simple like crap, he would go, "Mom, that's a bad word," and I'd say, "I know." He is 24 years old, and I can honestly say I've never heard him raise his voice. I've never heard him cuss, ever. Not that he doesn't, because he's a Marine. So,
And I was going to say, and this is a man that could break your. I'm not going to say the
yes,
F word. He's going to
yes,
break your neck in about 1 minute.
yes, he has transpired himself not only physically but also mentally. He's very, very intelligent. He's one of those kids that I say kids. He's one of those men that he can read something and then I can ask him about it a year later, and he go, "Oh yeah," and he can almost recite the whole thing.
Yeah, like we've known each other 5 years now, maybe a little longer.
Longer than that.
Yeah, and I've seen the transformation of Brock over the years. And you know what? If he was coming at me and I was the enemy, I'd be friggin' running. Like,
He's
holy crap, man!
amazing.
Like he is huge.
He is so amazing, and
He's not little Brock anymore.
no.
So
But as his mother, when he goes to leave, I see this little boy in his little cap pistols, going, "Bye, mommy," you know.
do you know he's going to be
I
upset
always
about
will.
that one? He's going to be a little upset about that.
No. The one story that he really gets upset about, and I'm going to tell it. It's not very long. He was in third grade, and he was getting ready for. I had signed him up for football. It was light weights, but he still full pads a whole bit. Needed a cup. I'm a woman, never bought a cup. So he and I are there at the fitness
Sports
store,
stand.
the sports stands. There you go. And we're standing in front of all these cups, and I have no idea the difference between the youth and the this and the that, and I didn't pay any attention that there happened to be some man kind of just about maybe 2 yards from us looking at something else. And Brock and I were like this. And finally I said, "Brock, I don't know what to get you." And he, without missing a beat, he said, "I don't know. I don't see one that says anaconda." And the man lost it. I mean, he was drinking a Dr. Pepper. I think it spit out his nose and his mouth, and he turned around, he walked away. I guarantee you that man is still telling that story.
Well, you are.
Yes, of course. Of course. I mean, it's one of my favorite stories.
Like as a mother though, like your son being a US Marine and never knowing where he is at any given time, that must be pretty stressful in your life.
It's very stressful. He never tells me the truth on really anything. He's done several, deployments, and I will find little things later that he will accidentally let slip.
Yeah. Well, your mom.
I know. He doesn't want me to worry, and I get it. But, of course, Dan is retired Marine, never ex. They have like their own little language, and I have to ask, what does that mean? What did y'all just say? What does that mean?
Dan Dennis, your husband, ex-Marine, also country singer.
Don't say ex. He'll come through here and be very upset.
Okay, Marine. He is retired Marine.
Retired, yes.
Retired Marine. I'm Canadian. Forgive me. I'm lack of our military. With our. I won't even say it. Our Piper
never say
our
X.
Piper and our little canoes that we try to get around the world in. But I got to tell you, you're very proud of your son, and we talk about Brock a lot in our private conversations because you're also a DJ at Cat right here. You're one of our DJs here, and we are all very proud of you here.
He's very private. But the song, one of the new ones coming out, he kind of helped give me the inspiration for it. I don't know I think we're going to be doing it either later or whenever.
We are going to be doing that, but it'll be a little bit later. We're gonna talk about some things too that are pretty touchy. But first, we got some requests for some more music here. So how about we hit you up with one of your brand new ones that have not been released yet? And, we talk about it. Oh, I don't want to do that, but we're going to do it because you do it very well. Ladies and gentlemen, here we go one more time with Miss Laurie Lace and, of course, Rooster Crows right here on Air the Podcast.
In the garden, fear and horror, led away, sure betrayal, silver coins in a heap. Simon Peter by the fire, courage ebbs into gray. Rooster calls out as he bitterly weeps. On the front porch after midnight, you called to say you'd be home late. Bold betrayal, seeds of doubt wildly creep. The sun's are rising, you're just arriving. Cheating's not your best trait. Rooster calls out as you fall fast asleep. Cold as stone as I read through your text on my phone. Your betrayal rage on in another girl
Wow, what a song. What a great job.
That one's that's a challenging song. It was written by Greg Tardy. Hi, Greg, if you're listening. It's a great song. It really is. It's out of I try to do a wide variety when it comes to music, and it was definitely something out of my wheelhouse. You call it the yodel song.
I do. I think you should be in a church singing or something, but, you
It
know,
it's funny because I have my sister Karen. I love her very, very much, and she is very. And this is like when I say it, it's going to sound like it's a bad thing, but it's not. But she is she's very in touch with Jesus, and she prays before her decisions. And I sent her the song. I really wanted her opinion, and she was like, "Yeah, it's great." And I remember
that
thinking,
sister,
okay,
though.
if Karen didn't like it, there's something wrong because I was really excited for her to hear the first part, and then
Yeah, it's a wonderful song.
and she
You know
was
what?
like,
It's
it,
kind of
it,
growing on me, Laurie. Like it is kind of growing on me. Like, and the way you present it, the whole presentation that you're doing is great with it. Mr. Travis Pickering says, "Hey" to you, and great job.
"Hey, Travis,
Travis, nice to have you aboard here. Like
yes, he's written some music with me."
did so, and some great music that he's putting out lately, man. I'm telling you. Going to see Travis this weekend. I hope he's going to be at the Jaffrey Farmers Market playing with his pops, and we're gonna pop over there and say, hey, we are. So
Very cool.
can't wait for yeah, I can't wait for that. Actually, I haven't seen Travis in a couple of years since he decided to vacate. Our end of the world and go to the big city, but I miss him. I miss his music, miss him. Seeing him out there performing and being able to do what he does. He's got a young family now. Holy
He
moly!
does. He's
Yeah,
got the cutest little boy and girl.
yeah. You know what? And for Travis, really, like,
Sorry, Travis, that is not
yeah,
coming from
we got
me.
we
It's
got to
not
bust
coming
him.
from
We got to
me.
we got to bust him a little bit. I love Travis. He's a great guy. I got to tell you, he's got some great music. If you want to check out some great music, check out Travis Pickering. Yeah,
Absolutely.
Spotify and all that fine stuff. So let's talk a little bit about some uncomfortable stuff in your life, you know. And
Okay.
it's not an easy conversation for me. It affects me just as pretty hard when we talk about this stuff. And in the name of the show, and that's what it is, life after assault. And you were one of them unfortunate gals that have been assaulted, and being in the public eye, it wasn't so public.
No, no, it wasn't. How do you even start a conversation with this? It's.
Well, you know what?
Do you
I
start at
don't
the
know.
beginning? Do you start in the middle? I think the best
Well,
way
you know what?
just to
I guess is how did this
how
happen? Like,
that
how did
that
this
is
happen?
that
Like with somebody that you truly knew and trusted, and now it has affected your life. It's affected your son's life, your marriage. It's kind of an all round,
it does.
yeah. So,
It does. I think the first thing everybody always wants to know, but I say everybody. I've never really discussed it publicly, but is always
and I
like you
thank
said.
you for that. Like, I thank you for coming on because it is a very important subject to me.
Well, it can happen to anybody. If it can happen to me, it can happen to anybody because I've got law enforcement experience, and he just flew right under the radar, and that just pissed me off.
Yeah, people don't realize that you used to be a cop.
Yeah,
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 and yeah,
and
and you were you were a cop when this was happening.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
It's a gradual. I used to when I talked to women that were in the same type of situation. It's so easy just to go do this, do that. But it was a gradual. It didn't start out that way. It was like everything was perfect, and then they get you in a position where you're not really around people anymore. And it's like I said, it's gradual. It's the no more text messages to the opposite sex, no emails, you know, uh,
And which
and
is pretty tough in your business.
it was
Like,
very tough in my business, especially since he started out. He was I'm
We'll just skip that part. You know,
yeah, we'll just skip
he was
that.
someone you worked with, and that
Yeah,
just
somebody I worked with, and it was, that person looked at you too long. That person spoke to you too long. Hey, why don't you get yourself something nice and go and have your makeup done or something, and then you do, and you come back and you think you look really good, and you do, and it's, oh well, now you just think you're just hot totsy now, aren't you? I mean, it's the build up and then the takeaway, and it was rough. It was really really rough, and it was a
did he
gradual
isolate you
thing.
from your family too,
Um,
or was that something he tried to hide, and you could
I
associate with your
isol-
family?
Well, I was near one sister, but I isolated myself just because I didn't want to deal with it. I didn't want to talk about it. Um, you know, but it just affected me and my kid, and that's when I put the stop to it. Now, he never
Let's
touched
talk
my
about, like,
child.
let's talk about it just a little bit. Like, it wasn't something that you were even aware of what that was happening after it happened until video started popping up all over the place. That that's when you realized it was a disaster about to happen. So, like, how did this all transpire in your life? Like, let's talk about the nitty gritty. And the underlying question that everybody always asks is, how did this happen to Laurie Lace, cop, educated in law enforcement, should be the one being the aware, quote unquote. And yes, it happens to anybody. And how did it happen to you?
Well, the first thing was, I got out of law enforcement, so I didn't have that family anymore, um, and we moved to Denton, myself, my son, and him.
Denton,
Uh,
Texas.
Denton, Texas. Yeah,
Texas.
sorry, Denton,
Yep.
Texas. So that took me away from the family and friends that I had where I was living, but did bring me closer to, another family member. And he became very jealous and possessive. And at first, it makes you feel, oh, they love you. They're worried about your safety. No, they're not worried about your safety. It's control. That's all it is. It's control. Where are you going to go? Well, you can't go without me. Oh, he's worried that something's going to happen to me. No, no, it's not. And then, um, their their anger would just turn on and off, on and off, on and off. And, then I started hiding things because I didn't want anything to escalate. If I needed to text a guy friend of mine, to see how things were, I had to hide it. I can remember laying in bed, pretending to sleep, and hearing my phone go off. And they were emails, and we'd already had a huge fight over it because he just knew somebody was sending me messages, and I would hear it go off, and then one time he jumps up out of bed. He thinks I'm asleep. He runs over. He grabs my phone, and he looks at it, and it was an email. And I remember him going, "Huh, well, I guess that was an email." That still affects me when my phone goes off in the middle of the night.
Yeah, because you're
That's the
remarried.
first thing that hits my head.
You are remarried now, and totally. I know your husband very well. Very dedicated to his marriage. Does that sometimes kind of rub you the wrong way? Like, certain things because I know Dan. He is really attentive of his little Laurie, and does that sometimes bring up an issue for you today? Some memories, because Dan is, and he's not controlling by any means. Like, I
No,
mean,
he's not.
yeah, when
No,
you say that, he's pee whipped, ladies and gentlemen, this man is. So
that's not true.
it is exactly true.
Um,
But like, does that bring up some issues? Because Dan is very protective of you, but not in a bad way.
Dan was there through some of it, not in a relationship kind of way.
No,
We,
let's just clarify that. Now,
yeah,
Dan
no,
was another artist that you knew,
yes,
and through music, and
hmm,
and that is kind of how he lived through that. I don't want
yeah.
people to get the wrong impression that you guys were having an affair or
No,
something like
no,
that long before. You guys were
mm-mm.
friends as fellow artists and singers.
We had met before this other person was in the picture, and I honestly had, and he knows this. I don't remember. It was Well, I was doing a cable show and I get tunnel vision, and he says we met and I gave him a CD, and I'm sure I did, but I don't remember any of that. But when I moved to Denton, out of the blue, he sends me a Facebook message and says, "Hey, I do this open mic night. Would you come down?" I thought it sounded like fun. So I was like, yeah, I don't have anything to do that night. It's like a Tuesday or something. I was like, yes. Oh, well, that was not going to happen. He not only was I not allowed to go, but I wasn't even allowed to send Dan a message and let him know I'm not showing. So, he did some promoting, and then people show up and he's like, I don't know where she is. You
Well,
know,
to
and
top it, and to be real, like you were a pretty big name in Texas back then. So
a
you
little bit.
showing up, yeah, you showing up at a mic night was a big deal
It
to
was a
some
big
people
deal.
in around. Yeah, and it was a big deal to Dan that
Yeah.
he had Laurie Lace coming in to fill in for him. So let's move along a little bit. Like what happened that night that really changed your life forever?
Um, so many nights. He got
Well,
really mad.
then
He got mad. Very angry, and he rips his own shirt off of him.
I am Hulk.
Off, yeah, off
Yeah.
himself, and he screamed and screamed and screamed so long to where I got to the point where I said, I don't want to be Laurie Lace anymore. I don't want to.
And what
I
a
don't want
sad
to.
feeling to not to want to be yourself.
Yeah, I don't want to do it anymore. I said, I don't want
Yeah.
to do it anymore. And I remember him, following me into the closet. I had a big walk in closet, and he was like poking on my head, just, he would push the limit, wouldn't leave bruises to me, but he would grab you, he would push the limit, and mentally just control you. And I remember I snapped that night. I think that's what snapped in me. And I remember I nailed him. I hauled back and I hit him like a man right across this, and it was a good one. And then I ran.
Yeah, we were talking about this
And then
last
I
night.
ran.
Yeah, well, yeah. And you said you hit him like a man, and it felt so damn good.
It did. It felt so damn good.
And we are not condoling violence here, folks, in any
No,
way.
I'm
You
sorry,
know,
but people
it,
wanted people want to hear the truth. This is the
it
truth.
is the truth. Now,
He had
before all
been.
this, though,
Go ahead.
before all this, there was other issues besides that with Brock and all kinds of things in your life. Not just the yelling and the screaming. There were some things that other things that popped up in the internet and stuff, and you thought that somebody had drugged you at one point. So like that's a pretty serious allegation.
Well, there's no thought. I know it. I know they did. Um, it was. I had a show, a very big show that I was very excited about. And
Let's
when
talk about. Hang on a sec now. Don't jump ahead of me here. What kind of show was that? Like
it was
what
for
was the show?
it was for the VFW, and they were doing a ceremony for several of their World War II veterans that were there, and they had the Corps was there. They were walking in the flags. The place was packed, and I was the entertainment. And I
And
remember
you know what? It became that you were literally the entertainment.
I literally became the entertainment. Yes,
So let's
I
tell
had a
the story.
rule. I had a rule. No one drinks. I don't drink. You're representing me. You're on stage. You're playing. When we're done, I don't care what you do. I don't care if you drink so much you got to crawl back. I don't care. But I had that rule, and the place was packed. It was the last show that this person was going to be involved in, and they were refusing to go on, refusing. And of course, I've already been paid. I'm like, no, we're going on. And they said it would really help if I could have a beer. I said, I don't care. Go have a beer, whatever you got to do. And he brought me a drink. And that's where I screwed up, because I don't drink. Especially, I haven't drank since 2016, first of all. But I don't drink before shows ever. Ever. And my band knows this. My band knew this. And I don't remember closing the show at all. And
And that must be scary for you, like
it was
not
very
even
scary.
knowing what happened and waking up the next morning and not even remember your show.
I remember two things. Two things. I remember in the middle of a song looking over at my guitar player, and I just went like, I'm done. I remember that. And then I remember sitting in my vehicle and some strange man was standing there having a conversation with me. And he walked up actually and ran him off. And that probably was a good thing. And that's all I remember. And if I had thought about it more clearly in the morning, I would have gone down and had myself looked at. But then it would have been, okay, was it the bartender or was it the person that brought me the drink? It was the person that brought me the drink. That's what I know in my heart. And
So
of course,
nothing
it.
really after that. You got filmed, and of course it went viral all over the place. And then of course it started affecting your career.
It was a huge effect on my career, and it didn't. I would not say it went viral everywhere. What they did is they filmed it, and then they sent it to every venue that I had booked. And they were dropping me like flies because they thought that's who they were getting. Now my band knows this. My band, we've talked about it with my band. They were just like, we didn't know what was wrong with you. We'd never seen you like that before. One of them on Facebook not too long ago was like, I remember that night. Everybody knew, and so I was like, I sent my son to his dad's and said, he will not be here when you get back. And I made that promise, and he wasn't.
There was a time there that decision for you to make, that this was over, this had to stop. A lot of that decision making was about Brock.
It was. It was. I remember having a conversation. Well, I say conversations. I would have conversations. He would yell. And I said, everybody sees it. And I said, including Brock. And I should have never said that, because he flew out of the bedroom, ran into the kitchen, and got right up in Brock's face. And of course, was right behind him and immediately was in between. And he was yelling. Then he was yelling at Brock. And I remember Brock going, I don't want to get involved in this.
And there was a point there he was trying to get, to change Brock and turn him against you.
No, he was trying to turn me against Brock.
So that was,
he would do things like he took a knife to his bicycle seat and tried to say that Brock did it. I don't even think Brock knows this. This is after I sent him away. He did everything he tried to get me to go, oh yeah, Brock is a teenager, horrible. And I just kept saying, no, he didn't. You need to go. No, he didn't. You need to get out. And he was like, and what if I don't? I said, well, then I'll have Denton PD drag you out. I don't care, but you're out of here.
So getting rid of him,
before we got to that part,
it wasn't easy.
No, it was not easy. He parked himself in my camper, and then he would say that he was going to come to the house, even though I had the locks changed. And so if you don't come see me, then I'm going to come and I'm going to do this, and I had a child to protect. So, after a show, or I would swing by and I'd say, hey, when am I going to get my camper back?
Yeah. That's kind of my stage show.
That went on for about a month. And then I was like, this is ridiculous. And I think he finally got it when I was headed to the Texas Sounds International Country Music Awards. And we had already performed, and I was going back for the awards ceremony, and crossing my fingers I'd get an award, like everybody else. And you were allowed to bring one guest. And my son went as my date. And I think he was kind of like not even sure if he was, because he knew that this guy was like, I'm supposed to be going. And I'm like, you're not going. You're not getting it. I'm done with your threats and your lies and your manipulations, and you trying to make me feel bad about myself and trying to make me be, upset with my child. I'm done. And Brock and I went and we had a wonderful time. We had a wonderful time. And that's when I got back and he had finally dropped off my camper. Of course, he parked it right in the middle of the road and then locked it, so I couldn't get into it. And everybody's like, "You got to move your camper," and I'm like, "I want to move the camper."
But I can't at the moment. But
No.
there was a time though you got a call from the PD,
I
and
did.
and it was like, what the? Are you
I
kidding me?
did. I was leaving my sister's, my Brock and I, and we'd had dinner. It was like 10 o'clock at night, and my cell phone rings. I look, it says Denton PD, and I was like, okay, this can't be good, whatever it is. And so I was like, hello, and it was an investigator, and he introduced himself, asked if it was me. I said, yes, it is. And he said he had spoken to this particular person, and that he said I had some things that belonged to him. And I listened to the long list of random items, a pair of boots, a half-painted painting that I think he stole, to be honest. And then we got to the nitty-gritty. 2 Yamaha speakers. And I'm like, oh, okay, yeah, those are mine. And, and really, I only wanted to know one thing. And he said, do you have any questions for me? I said, yes, I have one question. He said, okay. And I said, did you speak to them on the phone or in person? Because I was told they were gone to another
miles
state.
away.
Miles away. And he said, no, I spoke to him in person. I was like, okay.
So how did that make you feel knowing that he was
scary?
there?
That scared me. That did. Yeah. That scared me because, I had this false sense of he's in Arizona and he wasn't. So that scared me. That did. So I went home and we gathered up everything and that I could think of, the Dish Network remote. It was random, stupid stuff.
Yeah, stuff that meant nothing, right?
Meant nothing. All they wanted was the speakers, So we drove up to the PD and I unloaded this half-painted painting and a pair of boots, a hat, and Dish Network. And of course, and I told him that I said the speakers are mine because he never worked, never once, not one day, one day. I paid for everything. And I said, the speakers are mine. I said, I bought them at Guitar Center. I can prove it. I said, but I know that's a civil, so don't worry about it. And he was like, yeah. And I said, I guarantee you he's somewhere out there watching and seeing what I'm unloading. I said, he's never going to pick up this stuff. I said, he wants the speakers. He's not getting them. And, I just kept talking. And the man was like, he said, meeting him, because he was a big guy. He was a big man. And he was like, after speaking with him and speaking with you, I'm pretty sure I know what's going on here. And he said, and yeah, he is still in the neighborhood. So we're going to have patrol swing through your, neighborhood for a while. And
so how long did it take for that fear to go away? Does it ever go away?
No, not really. Dan and I were in Florida, and we were at a store. I don't remember what store. And I could have sworn I saw him. I mean, I really thought I saw him. And at the time, I look around, and of course, Dan will look at something, and I'll wander off, like ADD, oh, squirrel, and I walk over and look, I'm looking at something, and I look up, and I could have sworn it was him. And I freaked out, and I'm going, where's Dan? And I ran over to him, I found him, and I was like, he's here. He's like, no, he's not. I'm like, yes, he is. He's here. I saw him. And he was like, okay, first of all, if he was, I'd be beating the crap out of him.
That sounds like Dan. Yeah,
yes.
That's the Dan we all grow into love.
And in reality, it was just women that he pushed around because he would yell at I'd work so hard to put a band together and everybody would get along and everything was great, and then he would have one of these nights where he would get stupid on everybody and yell and scream, and then the guitar players would be like, I don't have to take this crap, start throwing their stuff. And at first I used to be like, no, everybody calm down. After a while, I would just sit down and go, now I got to find another guitar player.
Great.
Because he'd walk in and scream and yell, and then he'd run out of the room like a chicken.
So what does that do for you today? Like, how do you handle them situations that bring up them fears, like when you were in Florida? Like, there's got to be that button that pushes them. And what does it make you feel like? And I'm asking because there's a lot of women here and that haven't lived through this. And, and I really want them to understand that, life is dangerous out there, and it could be with somebody you love or thought you loved at that point.
Most people, statistics for most and I'll say people because, this happens to men too. Men just aren't vocal about it because it's embarrassing to them. But most people, you are assaulted by someone that you know. The random assault, now obviously with the way the world is, that's happening a lot now. But, it used to be, statistics that you knew who was assaulting you. You knew, that the person. And sometimes I think it's worse. It still affects me in different ways because we talk a lot about touring and
Yep.
shows, and I'm going, who's gonna bring me my water? Do I know that person?
Yep.
And I even sometimes catch myself going, I don't even know if I went Dan bringing me my water because because this was also a person of trust.
Yep.
I knew they were capable of what they had already done, but I never thought in a million years that they would put something in my drink. That could have killed me.
Did you ever? You must wonder why. Like, why did you do this?
I don't know the answer to that though. That's
And I don't think we'll ever
No.
know the answer is
No.
why and how, because there is no answer to why and how.
And I'm not the only one.
No, you're not. There's many that don't even talk about it, and I'm so glad that you decided that, you would share this story here on my show, and it's a big deal for me that you did that. And I got to tell you that there's a lot of folks here that are really saying that they can relate to what you're doing here, and another good friend of mine is saying that too, and it's kind of upsetting to me that I didn't know that, but it is the fact, ladies, that there is help out there. The national crisis lines, we're heard worldwide, so in your country, have that number handy because it's an all important number today. So today, life is moving on. Happily married, great singles coming up. Does ever this come up, just besides wanting to, doing this show
in
and
my
talking
head
about
it
it?
comes up.
Yeah.
But Dan and I don't talk about it. It angers him, because he can't fix it.
No.
And men are natural. It is bred into their DNA to fix problems, and he wants to fix it. And you can't fix it. It's not something that it's not like, oh, I'm a recovering alcoholic and you're that way for the rest of your life. You can't fix it. It's not something that a normal man in a normal relationship fixes. You learn to cope. And like I said, it's the little things that, and I think the one thing, and I don't know if Brock is listening, but the biggest regret that I have is not the good sucker punch I got in, or or any. It's the fact that it affected him, and it changed him, to where he just secluded himself in his room, and that I've never forgiven myself for, and I don't know how to. I don't know how to.
Do you ever blame yourself for all this happening?
Absolutely, 100%.
And how is that to deal with? Like, is it still happening today that you blame yourself?
Yes.
And how do you deal with that?
I just hope that he forgives me, my son.
Yeah, and we talked about that.
Yeah.
Is that is the hardest thing that you
hardest
cope
for me.
with every day, is that feeling that you failed your son.
I do.
And
yes.
I don't believe that you did, but like you were there to protect him, and you did protect him.
Yeah.
It's just it's a very complicated in your life when you feel that way, and as a husband and a father, we want to fix that hurt, and it's just something you can't do. And I'm sorry you had to live through that, but
the best I knew what to do was to send him to his dad's, and for I think it was 2 weeks, or because he was homeschooled, and I don't get women that are like, wow, if he wants to see him, he can come here. No, that's his child.
Yeah.
You need a relationship. Go spend time. I'm not going to go, hey, go to your dad's while I fight this situation and see if I can get out of it alive. You don't say that. I just said he won't be here when you get back. And I removed, being in law enforcement, I do have weapons. I removed them all from the house, and I said, you need to get your butt out.
Probably a smart thing. like
He,
it's funny that you say that. You have a lot of weapons in your house, and you decided, to get rid of them. Like, was that going to be an issue? You think, or like,
yeah,
would you have used them guns, or do you think he would have used them on you?
I think it could have gone either way. He asked for one chance to change himself, which I knew wasn't going to happen. And so I found a counselor and said, I'll go to one. Of course, before that one, I went and spoke to him first, told him this is the stuff going on. And, these are my fears. This is this, the blah, blah, blah. And I said, we're going to come in on this day, and I said, please don't tell him that I've already spoken to you. And he's like, well, I won't lie. I said, I'm not asking you to lie. I said, I'm asking you just not to mention it, So, we went in and we did our hour. And then, of course, I came back because I wanted to know really what am I dealing with. He was actually the one that suggested you need to take all of your weapons out of the house and then you need to kick him out. And that's what I did. Of course,
Well,
he didn't go nicely. He stole my my DW drum kit that I paid for, and in my American Telly that I paid for, and I did try to get
yeah.
some of those back. I did, but they were they were long gone, and but
Got some friends here, saying they're very proud of you. Love you, Laurie, Deborah.
that, hi Deborah,
Yeah.
that's my sister.
Yeah, we know that.
That's a
Lisa.
sister. This
Lisa,
is that's a
proud of
sister.
you. Yeah. Nick,
Thi-
miss you. Love
Nick,
you, Laurie.
hey, Nick V. Hill.
That.
I worked with him in law enforcement. He said to tell everybody he was my best friend. Hi, Nick.
Well, sometimes it's good to have great friends in law enforcement. So that's for
Yes.
sure. Eh?
That he's definitely somebody that to have in your corner. That's all I'm gonna say because he's a pistol and he will fight at the drop of a hat. And he knows it, and I know he's laughing right now. But he's a great guy. But I've never really spoken in depth to any of my sisters about it.
Yeah, no. Like,
Now,
how does
one
the family
knew
feel
that there
about
was a
this?
situation because when I was having dinner at their house, he was supposed to be home exiting. So I went over to have dinner at her house with my child, and I didn't hear a knock on the door. I didn't hear a doorbell. All I know is all of a sudden he is standing in the kitchen. And that was very alarming. Not only for myself, but I've got a whole bunch of little nieces, and now this crazy person is standing in the door and of course, said, can I speak with you? Immediately I took the situation outside and I just kept saying, you need to get your stuff. You need to get your stuff. And of course I probably should have been there and, but he walked off with some stuff, but it was a small price to pay.
So does your family know about it? Like, really, how scary
No.
the situation was getting? So how do you think they're going to react after seeing the show?
I don't know, to be honest.
Yeah, they probably got your phone number just ready to hit send right.
There's
yeah,
been
right
some
now.
texts. There's been some stuff coming through, but I haven't looked at it. So,
Yeah.
How
How about we do a little switch here and then put some happiness on here. You got
Okay,
a
that
brand new
works.
you got a brand new single coming out, and it's called "Still in the Fight," and kind of appropriate.
It
Kind
is.
of a whole different story, but kind of
Dan
appropriate.
Dan and I wrote it, and Kurt Ryle put his music to it. It's a military song, but it's a good one.
It is a good one.
It is a good one. I'm huge, very pro military, especially our Vietnam veterans, because they didn't come home to these wonderful parades. They come home to people, spitting on them, and they had to go to the bathroom and change their clothes, so nobody knew they were even in military.
Yeah,
that breaks my heart.
Yeah, we've talked about that in depth about your military connection. Had yourself and Dan do a very, very great tribute to the military. Had the families phone in on your radio show.
We
And actually-
did. I
Yeah,
forgot
and it
about
was
that.
oh, how can you
That-
forget about that?
It
We had so many unidentified IP addresses that night.
it was
our
Thanksgiving.
Our
It was-
security system was going stupid.
Well, I remember that. We were in Wisconsin at the time, and it was Thanksgiving, and there was so many, it was not my first time to be away from Brock for the holidays when he was on a deployment, but there was a lot of women that had reached out to me, because when you're kind of in the limelight, for some reason people think you have more answers, and I don't have any of the answers.
That's it.
I'm winging every day, but we came up with the thought process of having a special. And we let the families, and when I say the families, I mean the fathers, the sons, the daughters, the uncles, the aunts, the wives, anybody, grandparents, to pick the songs. Didn't have to be country, didn't matter what it was. Pick the song, give us a story. Here's our email. And it was supposed to be a 2-hour show, and it went 3.5 hours. Dan went to bed.
Could have went longer.
Could have went longer. I was still literally receiving emails as the show was going on, going, I just saw this, because it was just for that particular deployment family. And, and it was there was so many special things that happened that night. There was, and then when you said that there was a ping out in the middle of the ocean, because you were texting me through this, the whole show. And I was like, texting you back, I don't know what that means. And you said, they're listening.
Well, somebody's listening.
And I was just, and I mentioned that. I said, y'all, somebody had a I don't know what you call them, a two-way radio, a special or something. They were picking it up through Armed Forces. I'm not sure. Radio, yeah. But
that was a big night for us. It surely was a great night for us.
It was so cool.
Yeah, I know. We do things like that around here. It's crazy.
It was. There was one guy, he found out that his wife had just had a little boy on the show. He found that out.
That was just...
people cried. Oh, my God. And my sister Karen. Yes. Well, because people were sending me these crying emojis and these stories that I was trying to read and not get emotional. And my sister Karen was listening to the whole show, and she told me later, she said about 10 minutes before it ended, because I saved Brock's for the last. Yeah. His dedication for last. And she said she ran into her room to her husband and goes, I lost connection. Get it back.
Yeah.
It was huge. Thousands of people listened.
Yeah, it was, and we have like a quite a bit heavy listener base now, because we're on FM, and, my show is, syndicated worldwide. And of course, 5, 6, 7 FM stations now we're all on, including Cat Country. And your show is now syndicated FM. That's pretty big achievement.
Well, I'll be honest. It wouldn't all happen if it wasn't for you.
Yeah, it would have.
You are you're the rock that keeps everything together. I don't know if you realize that, but it's like anytime any one of us is unsure of anything, we're like, well, we got to call Dawn. Got to call Dawn. And your phone rings all the time. To where I know when you're busy because you click me off.
Yeah, it gets to the point, it's Laurie, it's 4:30 in the morning.
I loved this one. I texted, who was it? Glenn Kane? Yeah. Did I say it right?
You did.
Okay, cool.
Glenn Kane.
And then I sent you a message, and I was like, hey, Glenn just said da-da-da-da, and you text me back. Tell me you're not texting another artist at 1:30 in the morning.
Yeah, and it's not like he's just a little artist. No.
Guy's
been Grand Ole Opry member,
yeah,
played with,
and I was
you're
like,
texting him at 1:30 in the morning.
I looked at my phone and I was like, well, I'm not now, because I didn't think about it.
And the fact that, he is not a spring chicken anymore, and Glenn's going to kill me for that. Yeah, I know.
But I have no idea. I don't know how that worked. Did his phone go off and he looks at it and then his wife yells at him? I don't know.
Glenn and I talked about it the next day, and he says he's a night owl anyway because he's an artist. He's always up late, right? So,
well, good. I just didn't think about it, and you're like, please tell me you are not doing
calling.
That.
Yeah, you're not doing that.
I'm not now.
At 1:30 in the morning, and you had to remind you that it was kind of late, and I was kind of sleeping too. And
I do want to add that I think that Dan was a little upset that we were talking about the other situation. He struggles with it.
Yeah, I'm sure he does. But,
he does.
It's a great thing. And you know what? How about we get into Still in the Fight? And
all right.
Let's put some happiness in this whole situation. Ladies and gentlemen, here she is, Miss Laurie Lace.
Smoky Mountains of Tennessee. In a cabin lies the shadow of a man, a recluse from his friends and family. He came home from Afghanistan, a broken man whose heart just won't mend. Sometimes he shakes his fist at the wind. He hears sporadic gunfire in the middle of the night. He's home from the war. He's still in the fight. He got a Bronze Star for the courage he displayed. Laid it on the ground with his fallen friends. Over there he was a hero. Now he's trying to find his way. Where does new life start when the old one never ends? He loves to hold the woman whose letters kept him sane. Underline each I love you in red. He knows he'll never hold an angel in his heart as long as he fights demons in his head. A broken man whose heart just won't mend, though he believes the war will someday end. He drinks to stop the sound of mortars in the night. He's home from war, but he's still in the fight. He got a Bronze Star for the courage he displayed. He laid it on the ground with his fallen friends. Over there he was a hero. Now he's trying to find his way. Where does new life start when the old one never ends? Over there he was a hero. Here he's trying to find his way. Where does new life start when the old one never ends? Where does new life start when the old one never ends? Never ends.
Miss Laurie Lace. Wow. Still in the fight. And you know what? A very appropriate song, of course, for this very special edition of On Air, the podcast. Brand new single came out about 2 months ago. Bad Thing, climbing the charts. Let's talk about that for one moment. You know, big single, and it's taken the whole music industry by surprise, being played all over the world. You know, I know because I get to track it. So what a great single.
Bad Thing. Dan's walking by.
Hi, Guy.
Bad Thing. I call it the mystery song because nobody knows who wrote it. It was pitched to me through Kurt Ryle, and he says he doesn't remember who wrote it. So I don't have any credits to give them. I mean, you know, like Still in the Fight, it was me, Dan, Kurt. Rooster Crows at Dawn was Greg Tardy, and you know, the Sure Thing was by Todd Walls. But Bad Thing, I have nobody. No one knows who wrote it. No one knows who wrote it, but it's a great song.
You know, once you listen to this, folks, if you know who wrote it, please let us know. But
yeah, and you better have some proof too.
Yeah, that's it. Don't just it's climbing the charts, so you better have some proof. Right?
Yeah, you better have some proof.
Yeah. So you know what? A great song, great video. We did a great video with that. Check that out on YouTube, folks. If you haven't had a chance to see that, make sure you do. What a great video that is, starring not only you, but the other half there.
Yes, and I think Dan made the video. He was such a good mobster. He was. You know, the one part where I flipped the table, I told him, I'm really going to flip this table. So don't lose your glasses. And I meant that seriously, his eyeglasses. And he was like, okay. Well, when the time came, I flipped the crap out of it, and it flew up. And he kind of went like that. And then later I said, I told you I was going to flip it. He goes, yeah, but I didn't know you were going to flip it. I'm like, well, I said I was going to flip it. We did that just twice because he was like, I'm tired of picking up all this stuff. So
Sure can.
It was fun. It was fun. It was filmed in a warehouse here in Myrtle Beach. A candy store warehouse. So what looks like bundles of like drugs and marijuana and stuff like that, it's bundles of beach stuff is what it was. Things like, let's say, Myrtle Beach.
It fit right in though, didn't it?
It was great. Jeremy Davis.
If they really knew the motorcycle you were driving was not really a motorcycle.
It's not a big bike. No. We have Groms. Yes.
Groms.
Thank you for pointing that out.
Yeah, you know what? You said that to me one. Yeah, I know, but you said that to me one day. I drive a Grom, and I said, "You drive a what?"
They're 250s.
What the hell is a Grom? And it's like
it's a Honda.
It's for the beach, man. You just drive around town with it, But I thought you were taking that to Texas, No.
It tops out at about 60, and then it starts flashing at you.
Right speed.
It's a 5-speed.
Yeah,
so
I used to have for Den.
I used to have a Harley. Just saying, I did.
Yeah, well,
I did, but I sold it. I had an
picture
883.
doesn't. Yeah, so, that's not a Harley.
No, it was not a Harley. No,
an 883 is not.
And
a
I
Harley.
actually rode Dan's in the video because I'm short, so they actually had to lower my Grom. I had to lower it a tiny bit.
Yeah, they probably had to lower that 883 too, right?
No, it was. I don't remember. Probably so. No, I had to stand on my tiptoes. So that was a lot of fun. Yeah.
Oh, there he is. That's pretty ugly looking thing. Get out of here. Yeah, there you go. So
I'm gonna hear about that later. Just saying.
Oh yeah, you are gonna hear about it later. So how about we hear this bad thing?
You know what? Let's butcher.
Let's give her a roll. Why don't we give her a roll? Here we go, ladies and gentlemen.
Roll.
Bad thing, Miss Laurie Lace, right here on Air, the podcast.
They say I drive a little fast. Say I like to push the limit every day. I'm living like it was my last. They say I'm proud of my scars. Each one's got a story, got guts and glory, down to an art. They know what it's like to see life flash before my eyes, like it's a bad thing. I don't know about you, but I was put here to live and love. So what if I don't do it like everybody else does? They say I'm out on the edge, I'm too willing to risk every bone, every breath. They say all I am is a crazy dream, like it's a bad thing. But I keep on falling in nothing but if I'd let it go. But I wear it on my sleeve. They call me a joke, 'cause I still believe like it's a bad thing. I don't know about you, but I was put here to live and love. So what if I don't do it like everybody else does? Say I'm out on the edge, I'm too willing to risk every bone, every breath. They say all I am is a crazy dream, like it's a bad thing. it's a bad thing. Like it's a bad thing.
Ladies and gentlemen, there she is, of course, Miss Laurie Lace and Bad Thing. What a great song that is to end a perfect night. You know what, folks? Thank you very much for joining us here. We are actually about 11 minutes over our time. Laurie
sorry.
Lace, that is just fine. Thank you for coming in here tonight and sharing your heartfelt story with us. It is remarkable.
I know I smiled a lot, but it wasn't easy.
Yeah, you know what? When you're talking about assault, it is never easy. So remember that, folks. If you are a victim of assault, there is help out there. Please hit the national hotlines wherever you are. We are heard in about 7 different countries. So each and every country does have one of these hotlines. So please, if you are in trouble, hit them out. Laurie Lace, thank you once again for being here. It is always a pleasure talking with you each and every time we do this. And I hope that we see you again.
I hope so too.
Well, thank you for being with us. Thank you for being with us, folks, right here on Air, the podcast. We will see you again next Wednesday when we'll have another special guest. Hey, have a great night. We'll see you guys next Wednesday, 7 o'clock.